Alright, YouTube. I talked about this earlier in the first little shield, different ways of playing with the shields, my first video, but I just kind of thought about this last night, and I was thinking about it, and I got it now. I got the best way to play, I think, the most logical way, as Spock would say, right? Okay. Before I was a little confused about the bubble and all that with the shields, but now I figured it out. Okay, so here goes. The way the shields work in this project or little scenario I'm trying to do here is they're like a network, okay? Or think of it as like a structure, a field band around with extra, like more energy in certain spots than others, okay? So you have a shield bubble, a 360-degree bubble around your spacecraft or ship at all times. So say these are gone, okay? You still have a shield bubble. That shield bubble will always be able to take one hit before it gets through, okay? Keep that in mind. It's very important. So even if you only have one shield, okay, and you get hit in the frontal arc here, you will always be able to absorb at least one. Okay? Now where it becomes interesting is when you hit in the direction of actually one of these shields. Think of this as a focused point of energy. Like, it goes out and it spreads out, okay? So I'm going to put all the shields back. This will help a little bit better. This makes a lot more sense too compared to what I was doing before, but now I figured it out. Okay, so now if this shield is hit with one hit, let's say in this area, okay, in this direction, so it gets hit here, it absorbs one damage, okay, but it doesn't actually damage the shields because it's hitting this. Think of it as like a beam on a bridge, okay? Or like how a bridge holds up like a cable. So it's very hard to penetrate that focused point of energy. So in order to hit this shield and actually make it turn red, you need to hit it with either 2 hits or a critical, okay? If you hit it with a critical hit right in that spot, okay, it will change this to red, okay? That's saying that you got through the bubble. The bubble is still there, but you hit it with such force in that spot, it penetrated the regular bubble, which absorbs the one hit, but then the other hit got through and actually damaged this shield in that spot, in that area, okay? So now, say it's in this configuration, alright? This has you have a damaged shield, right? So technically you only have 3 shields left, just like if you were counting down your shields on your ship. Okay. Now you have what they call a defensive screen. This defensive screen now is there. Okay. Now the cool part about this is during your turn, I'm not going to make this an action because your configuration is still the same. If you want to protect that corner better now, because you're damaged in that area, that shield is damaged, you're allowed to flip, it doesn't matter which one, you're allowed to put that damage somewhere else along the bubble, along the grid, okay? So you could put it there, you could put it over here, and that's still showing that you only have 3 shields of energy, right? You still have your 360-degree bubble. So for example, if you were to get hit back here now, you still have to get hit that more than once to get through, okay? But in this case, if you get hit over here more than once, it's going to take out the defensive screen now, okay? Now once that defensive screen drops, you're not allowed to raise the more reinforced shields on that side. You'll still have the one bubble, okay? So if another shot comes in from a separate volley, and it will be absorbed by that bubble. But now when it hits the bubble, now you have to, since there's no actual strong focus point of shield there, you're going to have to take damage on that bubble somewhere. Okay, does that make sense? Let's reverse here. It's the same thing if you get hit like in the middle. Okay, say you get hit over here, not actually on the actual force itself, the structure. You get hit on the bubble here, you're gonna have to take a hit on one of these sides. Okay, it doesn't matter which one. When you get hit, if you really, the only other confusing part is if let's just do it this way. If you get hit here, these two are taking the brunt of the hit, I should say. They're basically halving it. So to show damage, you're gonna have to pick a side. So maybe the back or the front, whichever you want to do. Okay. Think of it as two cables, two poles holding up a cable, and you're getting hit in the middle. They're taking the stress somewhere. So you gotta choose which one takes more stress than the other. So which one's actually damaged from that. It's got to be one or the other. Okay. So with that said, let's do this again. Okay. So this also will make your configurations actually matter. So in this configuration of the actual shield force, or the shield energy, we'll call them energy nodes, I guess, where those energy nodes are, which actually are defensive screens underneath, in that configuration. So say you're like, well, I don't like that. I want to be more like this, so that when they hit me, I'm stronger from a 90-degree side, like this. But if they hit you in the corner, just keep that in mind, that you're going to have to flip one of these over, either that one or this one. It doesn't matter which one. And then again, that will give you an option just to flip one of these over there to do that. Okay, during your next turn or whatever it is. We'll figure that out. But that's that configuration. Okay. So that makes it very important that the more shield nodes you have, the more energy nodes you have, the more defensive screens you have, and the more, obviously, the more, or I should say, the less chance of actually getting to the hull that way too. And it gives you more options, just like on the show where they say, you know, hey, give us more shields in the front or the side or the back or whatever. They have like a percentage thing, so it's kind of like a percentage thing here. But I added the defensive screens too. I don't know if they have that. They have it in some shows or whatever. I don't know. So like I said, when these are red, when these are defensive screens, they're like this, okay? And once you're like that, you have no shields. You have no bubble even. There's no bubble around, okay? You just have defensive screens. And defensive screens only take one hit. And once the defensive screen goes down, it has to be that side, okay? So if you get hit in the corner like this, the way I'm going to do it is you're going to get hit in the hull, okay? Because that's a vulnerable area. There's no shield around anymore. It's just a defensive screen on that quadrant, okay, on that side. You can still change configurations. It'll take an action to do so. So say you're like, well, this guy's more in my quarter, my quadrant over here. I'm going to shift my defensive screens back to this configuration, okay? And that would be your action. And then once he shoots, this will actually take one hit, and then it will destroy that defensive screen. And now you're super vulnerable in this area because there's no bubble. Remember, there's no shield bubble. Once all your shields are down, now you just have these defensive screens. Now these, like I said, these defensive screens, you can move them around as needed, but it takes an action. Where with the bubble, the shield, you just power this shield or power that shield. It doesn't take an action, okay? And I just have to figure out when you can do that. If it's like you know, maybe it's as simple as disabling and re-enabling shields during your activation phase. I'm not sure how to do that yet. We'll figure that out. But I just want to discuss that configuration there with the Galaxy class, okay? And then we're going to go to the Constitution class, and here's the different configurations for the Constitution class, like this, okay? So here we go. We got 3 shield nodes, or 3 energy nodes for the shield, right? So it's still a nice web structure. There's still a bubble around, right? But now it's a little weaker. So if I get hit from the side here, okay, remember, there's a bubble around here. But if I'm not hitting directly on the shield like this, that bubble takes the brunt of the hit. It does absorb it, but it damages a shield node somewhere else. Okay, so maybe that one, or I would choose, for me, I would choose probably the back one here, like this. And then, you know, you're like, okay, cool. My hull didn't take anything, but I just got my shield damage. And remember, that bubble is still there for the next round. So even if you were to shoot anywhere over here, it's still, that bubble is still there. But just remember, when it's not hitting directly onto the node, it's gonna take, you're gonna damage your shields. They're, you know, and they're gonna get weaker. That's how they get weaker, because you're hitting that bubble, and these things have to take up that power. Okay, and same thing if you get hit in the middle like this. In this configuration, you're getting hit right in the middle right here. One of these has to take a hit like that. Boom. Right? But the cool thing is, it's the bubble is still there. As long as you have a blue shield up, that bubble is still around your ship. So that's kind of cool. But always remember, the bubble only takes one hit until it starts getting into the shields. You know what I'm saying? So let's do that again. Let's do this configuration here. Let's do a different configuration. Let's do 2 in the back, 1 in the front, like this. If you're worried about getting hit in the back a little bit more. So then let's say that you go head on with a ship. Let's say the Vorcha here. You're going head on with this Vorcha. Now this thing has devastating power. It really does. But here's your shield. Okay. So if he wants to get to your hull, okay, he has to go through the bubble. Remember, there's an imaginary bubble around. So he has to get 1 hit to go into the bubble. Okay. And if he only gets 1, it doesn't matter. You didn't take any damage at all because that bubble absorbed it. Okay. That's what's cool about the way this is working now, because it's hitting on that hard energy shield. It's trying to get through that node. Okay. You're trying to take out that node to take out the whole all the shields. So let's just say he hits 1, you take a hit, but nothing happened. You don't lose a shield. No shields are damaged. You just took. It's like somebody punched you, and you know, but nothing was vulnerable. You know what I mean? It's almost like think of it like this. Think of it like a book. You take like a book, and you only have the pages, right? If you punch the book, when you know, with the binder part, it kind of flexes and bends, right? And it's really kind of weak there. But if you turn the book sideways or vertical or whatever, you try to punch the book on the binder, it's going to be really hard to punch through. That's basically the premise of this. So anyway, so he's got, the Vorcha class has all these shots, right? So say he's got 5, right? Let's just do this example here. Alright, here you go. Perfect example. And this is when I want to talk about the crits too. Whoops. So he got 2 hits, right? And a crit. So now he's shooting these 2. Now it doesn't matter what order how you do this. But remember, the crits are going to be count as 2 hits on any shield. Okay? So this first hit gets absorbed by the bubble. Okay? So that goes away. Now this guy hits the shield. This shield flips over, and he takes out the defensive screen. So the defensive screen is now gone from that. Because of that, those 2 got through. But he still didn't get through to the hull yet. Okay? So that's how that works. It's pretty cool, I think. I mean, although where before the crits were actually wasted on the shields, I think, because they only counted as 1 hit. Which I guess kind of makes sense, but to me it doesn't, because if you're hitting a ship, right, and the hull, let's say, because all your shields would have to be down in the normal game, right? So all your shields would have to be down for this crit to actually do anything. Well, in this method, in this way, not only does the crit hit the shield for 2, but if let's say this was a deflective screen right here, okay, this is what we'll do too, is this crit is going to hit this deflector screen, knock it out, and then it's going to hit the hull. It's not going to do a critical, because remember I said it's 2, even though in the normal rules, yeah, but remember they're hitting just on the hull initially, so we're going to still keep that going to where this critical does the same exact thing. When it hits the hull, it does a damage, and then you flip it over, and that's the critical. Okay. But when it hits a shield or a defensive screen, it counts as 2. Okay. So let's reiterate. Let's reverse here. Let's go back. I don't want to confuse the issue here. So let's say again, he rolls, let's say he rolls this again, right? And we'll ignore these hits for now. Let's say he just gets the critical, okay? That critical goes through the bubble, the defensive bubble, right? And then it damages this shield like that. Okay? Boom. Now the cool part is, remember what I said, once you damage that shield, you can flip one of these back over and do that, okay? Your next turn or whatever, maybe we'll do it activation phase or whatever. As a free action, it's not actually an action doing that, okay? It's just like disabling and re-enabling your shields, okay? You can do that anytime. Alright, so now another situation is this. Let's say he's still in the same configuration, which remember I told you changing your configuration around with these shields and defensive screens is an action, okay? So say he's in this corner over here now. He's gonna aim, he's gonna hit this corner, okay? Now he does the same critical, he rolls all 5 of his dice and one of them is a critical, right? So he does the same critical hit. Guess what? He just got through the bubble and now he damaged one of these shields. Now it doesn't matter which one. Actually I said that wrong. Reverse on that. He's shooting these two, right? The bubble, it doesn't absorb one when it doesn't hit here. So the bubble, it does absorb one, but it absorbs one and it damages one of these shields because they have to. It's like a tension wire, like I was saying. So check it out. So if you hit this bubble and it damages one of these shields, guess what? This is going into the hull now. Does that make sense? It's not going in as a critical, but it's going into the hull. Where if he did it here, it would damage the bubble, and then it would just damage this, but not go into the hull. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Because like I said, you gotta draw this invisible barrier. Let me do it this way. This will be better. If I use, let me just use these tokens here. Here, I'll be right back. My primitive shield bubble. Okay, this is the best way to visually describe how this is going to work. Okay, now you see when you are away from these shield nodes, these energy nodes, see how there's nothing in between? So if this shot comes in, okay, and hits this, it hits this shield bubble, it absorbs it, right, takes it away, right? So now these shields, one or the other, is going to get damaged automatically. Doesn't need an extra shot to do it. So I'm going to choose this one back here. Okay. So now this one does not have a regular, like a shield. Okay. So now this bubble is weaker. Okay. See how this works? So the bubble's gone, right? So the bubble gets weaker as it goes. Okay. So now. But if I decide to shoot in the front, okay, check it out. So this shoots, pew, sorry for my sound effects. It takes away this shield bubble, right? But it's gone. But you know, this thing held firm, right? Because it's like almost like a double layer. If you look at it like this, see, double layer, right? Double layer. So this is basically providing that extra protection to the bubble, to the screen, right? So it took this one out, boom, and now this is your actual hardened shield, right? Now, like I said, the bubble regenerates. I'm just doing this just for visual anyway. The bubble's always there, okay? And the bubble can always take one hit no matter what, okay? No matter if there's 1 shield, 2 shield, 3 shield, or 4 shield, doesn't matter. It can always take 1 hit. It's just that if you have more shields, more hardened areas, it's harder to get through the bubble and to actually damage the shield, okay? Now at any time, if you're having multiple shots in one area, of course you're going to get through the bubble. It's like, you know, just imagine you're shooting and you're penetrating, boom, takes the bubble node away, and then that one goes away, and the next one's going to damage the shield. And then if there's another hit coming through, it's going to damage the deflector screen. And now the deflector screen is gone, and the bubble just regenerates around it like this. Okay? Remember, the bubble's always there, no matter what. as long as you have a blue shield up, that bubble is all the way around your ship 360 degrees. It's just weaker now, because now you're more vulnerable in the front. See, so now you just need one to get through the bubble, and now it's all hull. It's all hull damage now. There's not even a defensive screen there. Isn't that neat? It's pretty crazy how that works. And like I said, during a round of during your activation phase, if you want to reconfigure where your shields and your defensive screens are, you're allowed to. So in this case, if you have, if it's just like this, you have one shield left, you know, giving you nice power to the bubble, and you have one defensive screen, you're allowed to maneuver these around. If you want to maneuver them like this, that's fine. You want to move them like this. If you want to double up like this, they can never overlap. Your defensive screens are always going to be, you know, the last line of defense, where no matter where you're at, okay? But if you want to be more frontal, you know, as far as defensive, you can do that. You can go like this if you want. So you basically, this shield is you're holding it up. And like I said, remember, the bubble's always around. You always get that free hit all around your ship as long as you have this up, which could be a tactic too. Like hey man, I don't want to lose that free hit. I don't want to expose my shield to getting hit, and you can actually hide your shield back here so it never gets hit. That's the kind of cool part about it too. So maybe you want to move your defensive screen up into, you know, into the area and say, okay, I got my defensive screen there. Screw it, you know. And you know there's a defensive screen under your shield at all times too. So just keep that in mind as well. I think it's going to be a good system. I'm going to test it out probably tonight. I'm really excited about it. I'm going to try another configuration where this one only has 2 shields. Okay, you can do that real quick. So this one's only got 2 shields. We'll throw a configuration on there. Remember, you can do any configuration you want. Just remember that in order to change your configurations around, it requires an action. Just like anything else, just like putting a evade token on, battle stations, a target lock, anything like that, okay? So if you want to do it like this, now you can never overlap. I won't allow that. That's kind of crazy. No, that would be 2 different layers of bubbles, and that would get nuts. So you can do this. I would say you can do this or this. So no one shield can what do you call it? No one shield can occupy, thank you, occupy more than one side or more than one corner. We'll do that. So you can go like this, so you're you're protecting the corners. And like I said though, if you do get hit in the front, that bubble will take a hit and it will generate damage to one of these nodes. Because like I said, it's just like a tension wire. It's going to put stress on one or the other. So it's basically, think of these as taking like half damage each, and then you're going to have to choose which side takes the most damage. So alright, so yeah, and if you're in this type of configuration and you get hit in the front, again, that first hit is going to damage one of these or the other, right? But then once it's through that bubble, there's no defensive screen here. That's what you got to remember too. You're gonna take a hit on one of your shields, plus there's no defensive screen, so you're gonna take a hull. Like if there's 2 shots coming in like this in this configuration, that's why you wanna kind of like support that shield, okay, that bubble. So if you're like this and you're going on a frontal attack, and somebody shoots and they hit 2 hits on you or a critical, it's gonna get through into your hull. Even though you have a defensive bubble up, it doesn't matter. And even though people complain, oh well, I have 2 shield nodes, it doesn't matter. This is a different game now. So you have to tactically think, hey, do I want to keep this configuration or do I want to keep this configuration? Am I going to be more vulnerable in the sides of my ship? Am I going to be more vulnerable in the front and the rear of my ship? Or do I want to do something like this or something like this? Or hey, most of my action is frontal and to the side over here on the right side. You can do that. That is a perfectly legitimate thing. And remember, that defensive screen is around you. So if someone comes back around, they got to still punch through your bubble to get at your hull. But remember, there's no defensive screens. So you're gonna have to get through that. You're gonna have to think that over. So you know, once these shields go down, your bubble goes away. So now you just have defensive screens, and defensive screens are only gonna shield that side. And I don't know. You guys can comment. You think this is cool? I'm actually gonna do a run tonight. I might only do it with 2 ships to make it easier. And also the cloaking ship. I want to talk about that real quick. The cloaking ship works the same way. This guy actually has 3 shields, the Vorcha. So let's say he's in configuration like this. He wants to be really aggressive. Okay? He wants to be aggressive. His corners are vulnerable right here. But his sides are good and his front is good. He wants to cloak, right? So he goes ahead and cloaks. Guess what? His shields go down, okay? But his screens stay up. Defensive screens are up. So the shield is actually providing the cloak mechanism, which is, I think that's how they wanted to do it. Okay, so he's vulnerable, but at least if he gets hit in the front or the sides, it will have to go through the defensive screen first. Once it takes that defensive screen down, that shield is gone. That shield is, it doesn't matter, it sucks, but you know what? His shield is providing that cloak. So it's not going to absorb anything. There's no bubble around anymore. The bubble is the cloaking mechanism, okay? So he's cloaked, you can't see him. So you shoot, remember he still gets a 4 extra evade dice, but now he's got these little defensive screens before it gets into his hull, which is kind of cool. Some people might think it's cheating, I don't know. But it makes sense. It actually makes sense. He's going to have his defensive screens, which are actually skin tight around his craft. Okay, I don't know if it's really like that in Star Trek or not, but it's going to be like that in this because I'm going to make it that way. And then his shields are projecting a cloak out and around, okay? So his shields, the energy from his shields are going out and cloaking around, okay? So if he gets hit, let's say one gets through or one gets in and it takes out this deflector shield. So now, or excuse me, defensive screen. So now he would have to change his configuration. So he'd have to do an action before he or he'd take it in the hull just like normal. So that's actually kind of cool. And to me, he has an advantage, but at the same time, everybody else has. Like I'm pretty sure that the U.S. Enterprise here, the Class D, is going to have the most advantage because it's got 4 nodes to play with. It makes your shields kind of more configurable and tougher to get through. I mean, look at this. Where's my other shield here? Right here. Look at this. I mean, you got to get through. If you just look at this, just think. He's got 4 shields, so he's very well protected. So he has that shield bubble around him, like I was saying earlier, and it's going to take quite a bit to get through. So it's going to take 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits to get to the hull on each side, right, where these nodes are. Now, if you look at the Klingon ship, let's say he's not cloaked. Let's say he's doing this game right here, right? Or let's say he's on the side. Well, no, let's just say he's like this. Okay? He's protecting his corner. Okay? Now look at this. If he gets hit in the side, it's only going to take 2 hits. That's it. 2 hits to get to the hull. You see how that works? So the 1 hit goes away from the defensive bubble, and it's going to actually damage one of his shields, right? And now this is going to hit the hull. It takes 3 to get to the hull of the Enterprise, right? And it's only going to damage this. Actually, no, I said that wrong. Duh, he has a defensive screen. I said that wrong. So it's going to take, let's say, 1 hit is the outer skin, 2 hits damage this is a shield, 3 hits takes the defensive screen away. So his hull is still protected. After 3 hits, he did not get hit by the hull. Him, only 2 got through because there was no defensive node there, and it got into his hull. Does that make sense? Now, if he gets hit in the corner over here, this is where you're gonna have to be pretty accurate with your and the way I'm gonna do it is whichever component touches this, like say you're way out here, right? You're way out here range. Whatever component's gonna touch first, and then usually it's gonna be the corner Or if you're over here, it might be the side. It depends. Yeah, if you're right on the side, that's the side. If you're right in the corner, that's the corner. So the same thing applies to him. If he gets hit with 2, let's say, there's no defensive screen in that corner, right? So in this aspect, or this instance, he gets hit right here. Boom, look at that. So he gets through the bubble, and it does damage one of his shields, like this. And another one will hit the hull. See that? But he has a lot less chances of getting through that because he's got more of these nodes. So that's going to play a big part, I think. Because, I mean, look at how much it takes to get through. I mean, it's going to take... You're not through. I mean, you're through, but to damage the hull, you need 4 hits. With this right here, you need 4 hits to get through. See that? Where he only needs 2 on the side. That's what I'm saying, right? So it's gonna depend on your configuration, how many shield nodes you have, and also, yeah, that's basic. And then, like, obviously criticals are gonna be more devastating too. So yeah, so if this critical comes through, right, in this case right here, if it hits the outer shield, it damages one of these nodes. Let's say the back one, right? Damages the back one, right? Because that's the next one in line. That's how I'm going to play that. And then, boom, he just got hit by the hull. Not a critical hull, just a hull hit. Got through. And the next volley is the same way. The next volley, he doesn't get hit again. If he gets hit again that side, doesn't mean he doesn't still have the bubble. The bubble's still up. The bubble stays up as long as you have 1 blue shield. It's just the amount of firepower happening and hits in that spot in an instance is what's going to poke through and penetrate through, which makes it more exciting, I think. So if you look at this, 4 hits until he gets hit in the hull on this one, on this side. And remember, this will be obliterated, you know, with that, because he got through the bubble with that one, damaged the shield with this one, the shield node with that one, and then he killed the defensive screen, and then he got through and hit the hull like that. So I don't know. I'm going to play it out and see how that works. I think it's going to be cool because you get configuration options, and you also get your defensive screens. So defensive screens, I don't think anybody's done that in this game yet. So anyways, I'm going to put this up tonight. I'm going to try it out. I might not be able to put up the video of that tonight, but yeah, it should be pretty cool. Thanks for watching.